My name is Julie Castle, and I want to take some time to share some personal experiences with you I've had over the past year. In case you think you should recognize me, but don't, here's what I looked like last year at this conference. And here's what I looked like a few months later. Late last year, not long after the conference, I was diagnosed with what turned out to be a hyperaggressive cancer. By the time I caught it, it had already spread to my lymphatic system. Well, shit. According to my doctor team at UCLA, the tumor was one of the most aggressive they'd seen in a while. It turned out to be a baseball-sized tumor by the time all was said and done. Boy, did I have a challenge ahead of me. It's been a really tough year. I've had 8 months of chemotherapy, and I have 3 more months to go. I've been in the surgery suite 4 times, and I'm currently undergoing 8 weeks of daily radiation.
You're looking good.
Thank you, sister. The side effects, needless to say, have really taken their toll on me. Hair loss, foggy memory, finger and toenail loss. If some of you caught my toenails this weekend, they're really beautiful. Loss of feeling in my hands and feet, lymphedema, loss of taste, anemia, nausea, fatigue, and that's just the stuff I can tell you in public. I've also come to realize how pervasive cancer is. It's truly like feral cats. Once your eyes are open to them, you realize that they're everywhere. That's the way it is with cancer. Hands, please. Who in the audience is dealing with cancer or has dealt with cancer? Who knows someone other than me that has had cancer or has cancer? There you go. It's a lot. It's everyone, I think. Okay, so many of you know what I'm talking about. And for all the talk of modern medicine, cancer treatment is still very medieval. Chemo, radiation, and surgery is another way of saying poison, fire, and knives. You are pushed to the edge of death in hopes that the cancer dies before you do. That is, if you're lucky enough to have access to what is known as the gold standard of cancer treatment. Sitting there for hours at a time, receiving a poison drip, feeling trapped, calculating my chances as a statistic, and wondering which category I would ultimately fall into. Would I be one of the survivors or not? It was all very bizarre and surreal. What may seem equally as bizarre was that I had made a commitment to myself that I would run in the St. George Marathon. And one of the first questions I asked the doctors last January as I was getting all my pre-treatment workups was, will I be able to run a marathon in October? After all, I'd been running one every year for at least the past decade and didn't want to let cancer stop me. You can imagine how they looked at me. They thought I was crazy. To hell with them. That's what I said. To hell with them. I like you. The idea of actually running a marathon was kind of absurd. There were plenty of days that I could barely walk. So getting into a training routine was challenging. But I believed I could cover the 26-mile course and would run as far as I could and hope to make it across the finish line before they sent out the search and rescue team. The thing about cancer, and I guess any life-threatening situation, is that it really does put things into perspective. What's important and what's not, even down to body parts and functions. My oncologist is a brilliant, gruff, off-handed guy whose track record for success is unmatched and who specializes in blunt, to-the-point talk. I don't care about your boobs. I just care about your life. He had the same message regarding my hair, my memory, and any other part of me that wasn't vital to my survival. Actually, quality of life really isn't something they give a lot of attention to in most cancer treatment regimes. So it was up to me to focus on and make a choice and a commitment to my own quality of life during my treatment. It was hard to argue with his priorities, but if he wasn't concerned about anything but a pulse, the rest was going to be up to me, and after all, I had a marathon to get to. I had a goal every day, and I had to make deliberate choices to get there. Anything that wasn't in line with getting well, it was an irrelevant indulgence to me, and it was a waste of precious time that I could no longer take for granted. I know the marathon thing sounds crazy, but it represented so much more than an annual event to me. It was a huge milestone on the road to recovery, and a way of saying that I had not and would not surrender my life to a disease, even if I was trapped on the assembly line of cancer treatment. The marathon gave me a center line to follow through the fog and the darkness. I also made a commitment that I would attend this conference and that I would show up in the same fashion that I showed up to start training for the marathon. I didn't want the cancer to prevent me from being here. I realize this is a lot of I, me, and myself, but I promise there is a point here. And I do realize this is a No More Homeless Pets conference and not a breast cancer summit. So please bear with me. It's a simple point, but it's one that I have come to have a new respect for. Life is short, make it count. When I decided the marathon was important to me, I had to make choices. Choices that were going to move my agenda to getting to that finish line forward. I had to take my personal strength and my personal health into my own hands. I had to set aside activities, interests, and ways of thinking that consumed time and energy with no return. I had to marshal every bit of energy I had to have a shot at running that marathon. Just like I had to make choices in order to accomplish my goal, all of us working toward No More Homeless Pets have to make choices and set aside things that might be habits and things we've always done to move our agenda forward. We have to work on making every day count. Everyone at this conference, all 1,150 of us, has a shared goal: no more homeless pets. Each of you has made a commitment to come here this weekend, whether it be time, money, energy, all to be more effective at saving lives. One of the most wasteful activities and the biggest time sucks, something that has kept us back and turned off the wider public to our movement, is conflict and negativity within animal welfare. Life is short, make it count. It's very easy to get sidetracked on irrelevancies and issues that take on seemingly monumental proportions, but in fact do not matter at all in the long run. We need to focus on that goal of no more homeless pets, and there is a center line for that that will help keep us on track, and I'll tell you what it is. The one simple message that has propelled Best Friends through good times and bad, that has been our true north since we started, is the message of kindness. That's why we played Love Train. That's why we played Where is the Love? Not simply kindness to animals, kindness to people, and kindness to the earth. Whenever we've stumbled or gotten ahead of ourselves, and we do it a lot, the reference point for us, this is our reference point for us, and we believe for our movement. Best Friends and No More Homeless Pets is a vision of the world we want to be. Not just for the animals, but for all of us. A future where the overwhelming majority of people would no sooner abandon their pet to a shelter than they would their only child. A world that respects life, the earth, and all creatures around us. And for us, the first milestone on the road to no more homeless pets, on that road, is no more homeless pets. And kindness is our center line. Bickering, infighting, and warring factions have no place in that future. And they have no place with us now if we ever hope to get there. It's very easy to be kind to an animal in need. It's much more difficult to being kind to others around us, and especially relating to them when we might disagree. It's very challenging. It takes strength to be gentle and kind. It's no secret that our movement, driven as it is by passion and emotion, has been characterized by infighting and factionalism. How many of you out there know of an organization that's a splinter of some now forgotten organization? About half the crowd. Yeah, that's something. And what were the fights over? Fenced yards? Home checks? Maybe it was a fight over adopting out cats during Halloween, black cats. Things could get really nasty, and they did, and that was just amongst friends. In the mid-90s, a group of us at Best Friends met to discuss what was dividing our movement and the exclusionary language of no kill. I remember the conversation well. We knew there were many sincere and kind-hearted people working in traditional shelters who wanted to see change. How many here work in a shelter? But these people, thank you, these people were being ostracized because they were associated with shelters. In those days, there was a stark dividing line between shelters and no-kill, with almost no collaboration or cooperation. There was no-kill, and then there was anyone who worked in a shelter, a killer, almost by definition of that language that we used. Kill versus no-kill. Their intention and their desire for change and their compassion toward the animals didn't count for anything. They were on the other side of a language divide, after all. We asked ourselves, back then at Best Friends, how can we steer things away from the wasted energy of conflict and toward inclusion of everyone who wanted to change things for the better? We came up with a new term, no more homeless pets. This was a rallying cry for anyone and everyone who was headed in the same direction as we were and who was committed to change. We invited animal control general managers to our conferences and sought to open doors that swung in both directions in order to build trust and save animals.